Hi, what is your name and what is your job here on campus?
My name is Melinda Valliant. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Nutrition and Hospitality Management, and I'm also the sports dietitian for Ole Miss Athletics.
Okay. About students eating healthy on campus, with what used to be the freshman 5 is now known as the freshman 30, why do you think this number has grown drastically?
I see kind of the other end of the spectrum. So I also, in my job role, see people with disordered eating or eating disorders. So I commonly see people that come to the university and actually lose weight versus gain weight, but that might be a small percent of that population. So I think what you're referring to is that our population is getting more overweight, and that population that we might have coming to college. We know that people typically, when we talk about the freshman 15, it was related to the fact that people are fed by their parents, and then they, they have less control over their food and beverage consumption, and then they get to the university, and they're in control of their choices, and also their schedules might be a little bit different, so they eat and drink more than usual and things like that. So a lot of times we did say, I've never heard the freshman 5, I've only heard the freshman 15, but we said, typically people come to college and gain weight, but it was usually related to just that transition from not being in control to being in complete control. So my suspicion is that if that's gotten worse, it's because our overall population has gotten worse.
Do you think that you've seen that mostly just on our campus, that it's been not too much of an increase in weight gain, or overall have you noticed?
I don't know, because I'm kind of isolated to this campus. So with the exception of athletics, I don't get out of our campus much. So I bet it's all over the country, and especially in the South.
Okay. Well, in general, what do you think the problem is with college students having a poor nutritional diet?
I think it's knowledge. First, knowledge. I work with dietetic students who don't even know basic food stuff. And in my generation, my parents, we ate at home, we didn't eat out. I saw my mom cooking, I learned how to do that. I knew the role of food, and I think that's a lost conversation now. Schools aren't teaching it as much. So I think a little bit of it's knowledge. I also think a little bit of it is motivation. Like, it's hard to think what I do in my 18, 19, 20 years is going to affect me later, or we don't think about later. That age you think about right now. So I think that's a little bit of it. It's just not having enough awareness of that. And also I think we're inundated with our culture on fad diets and easy quick fixes, and there's just really none of those work. So I think that's a big part. That's been a huge increase in this generation of college kids' lives, as they've heard about diet since they were born.
Yeah. So
we did not. My age group did not. So I think that's different.
So playing into that, would you say that a lot of it has to do with like environment too, just what is offered to you and
no,
what's
there
around?
have been quite a few studies that look at, even if people are offered healthy choices, they go with what they're used to getting. And so as parents, we have a responsibility to start our kids off eating healthy, or it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're given an option of a plate of healthy food or a plate of junk, and you've grown up eating junk, you're going to select the junk. And so I don't know that it's just an environmental, and certainly there are more fast food restaurants and convenience items, and parents have transitioned. I think a lot of parents have transitioned into from cooking at home to driving through for meals and things like that. So in that sense, maybe yes, but I don't blame environment. I'm one of those people that say we are all responsible for our choices, and so I think that somebody's got to say, all right, I want to take care of me, and I know this stuff isn't good, so I'm gonna change that for myself.
Okay. Which
might not be. I think a lot of people would disagree with that, but that's my stance.
So do you think that sometimes the weight gain in college student has to do with just their lifestyle changes?
I think a lot of it's lifestyle change.
So not necessarily what is offered to them, just...
I mean, maybe what's offered, but I think it's more lifestyle changes. A lot of college kids I talk to don't eat so poorly until... maybe late night, or, then you eat those extra things, and you might consume alcohol where you hadn't been doing that prior to college. Not that all college kids drink, but I think that's a time when some people start that. I also think that a lot of people are fearful of gaining weight, so they will skip breakfast and they'll eat a little bit of lunch, and then they're ravenous at night and they'll eat a lot. And we know that's a pattern that sets people up for poor health, which could be a thin person or an overweight person, but also eating more later at night. It sets us up to store more body fat. So I think just the whole change of pattern. And again, that might be what people learn. I mean, you know, I don't know that all parents are sticklers for their kids eating breakfast and having it. So I think that it could be some learned activity, but I see that as a time that's common.
So do you think the university provides good nutritional options for students studying on campus? Do you think they promote or encourage good nutrition and healthy eating options to students?
I think it's definitely gotten better in the last 10 years, and I should say that I was an undergraduate here in the 80s, and I was a graduate student here in the 90s, and then again in 2000, and then to come here as an employee in 2007. I've seen a big transition in what's offered in terms of health. I think people have to, you know, choose the healthier options, and I bet if you go to the Union and you would maybe go to Chick-fil-A and say, how many times a day do you sell the fried chicken sandwich, and how many times a day do you sell the grilled chicken sandwich? People are buying the fried chicken more. So, you know, I think that it's still a individual. We got to make choices. But I do think the offerings are good. I think that toss it up concept in the Union gives you a lot of options, you know, and those types of things. And I do know that the renovation at the Johnson Commons is going to offer a lot more variety.
Well, that leads me to my next question then. Do you think that university should eliminate some of those unhealthy choices? Like you said, Chick-fil-A, I know that Burger Studio is pretty bad.
Yeah, you know, I don't. And I'm a dietitian that's not afraid to eat a cheeseburger and fries. You know, I don't do it every day, but if I want one, I go to eat it. I think that I would like to see probably more healthy options versus non-healthy options, but I think at this level we're adults and we need to make those decisions, and so for to cut it out, I don't think it's necessary, but I like the trend toward offering more healthy with that, you know, occasional unhealthy. I think in environments where there's only one offering, like here's what you get, then we need to that needs to get healthier. But when you walk in and you have a lot of options, I think that having some healthy versus unhealthy is okay. It's not an all or nothing thing. Yeah. You don't either eat healthy or not healthy, you know, to be a healthy individual. So I think that education is kind of the key.
Well, do you think nutritional information should be required on menus to inform students? For example, knowing information such as calories or fat grams, does that affect people's choices?
Research says it doesn't, but that's pretty new. In the you know, a couple of states require mandatory nutrition labeling in restaurants, and the studies that have been done on those in those facilities or those states have shown that people, I mean, if you tell somebody this cheeseburger's got 1,800 calories, if that's what they want, they're going to eat that. So the studies have not followed the trend that if we're offered the information, we're going to make the healthier choice. Not to say that some people don't, and I do think that it's helpful to have that information, because there's some people that are going to say, all right, if given the choice between this versus this, and I'm going to choose the healthier one. Most of us are driven to select food based on, number one, what we are used to and we like. So I think that's part of that responsibility to change our culture, that healthy eating is not bad. It's not yucky. It's, you know, there's some healthy things that are good. But I like that there's a trend towards labeling, but I'm not convinced that that's going to make us healthier people.
Well, if that may not be the best option to encourage people to eat healthy, what do you think the university maybe can do or has been doing well that's you think that's been making a difference in people choosing healthier options?
Well, I don't know that we've looked at whether people are choosing, but my guess is probably not. With the exception of maybe Subway's got some healthier options, and that Subway is super busy. So I think a lot of people are lined up at Subway. You know, I think a lot of people are going that route. I just think the university, we could do more with education, and we could do more with just promoting health. And unfortunately in our society, sometimes health equals thin, and it's not always a correlation. So this happens to be National Eating Disorder Awareness Month. And so a big conversation is you can't just look at somebody and define them as healthy based on their appearance. And so I think we could do more education from a whole in terms of health. And we've really upped our education in terms of alcohol consumption. And I'd like to see the eating and exercise kind of environment with education increase as well. And I think that is a service that we could do for our students that they might not have gotten in grade school and junior high and high school like I did. So I'd like to see that happen.
So more of like healthy lifestyle choices, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
instead
what
of,
that means. You know, and I think there's a couple of classes like the EDHE, entry freshman level classes that have some sections on what that looks like what does a healthy lifestyle look like. But I think a lot of people have misconceptions, and unfortunately some of folks' education on that comes from popular press like Shape Magazine and Men's Fitness and all that, and they don't offer real healthy lifestyles. They offer kind of short, quick fixes that don't always equate to health. And so I don't like to talk to people about going on a diet. In fact, I don't talk to people about that. Because if we go on a diet, we end the diet. So I think we need to change just our lifestyle and what we do. And we need to be more active, you know. And that doesn't mean drive our car around the parking lot at the gym to find the closest spot to go jump on a treadmill. It means get more active in our daily things that we do. So I think the university could certainly do that. Educate more.
Well, finally, what recommendations can you offer students who are dining on campus who want a more nutritional diet?
I think just educate yourself on what your needs are. So, you know, if we had 10,000 students in a room, they'd have 10,000 different needs in terms of calories, protein, carbohydrates. So I think first of all is educate yourself on what you need. And that might require some assistance from a professional. And we have a nutrition clinic here in our department that people can come to and get that kind of guidance. So I think knowing what you need and what that looks like in a day's worth of meals, I think is important. And also what it looks like in terms of fitness. So we don't need to be on a treadmill for 2 hours a day. You know, what does a healthy lifestyle look like? Because if you don't get that in college, it's hard for people to get it when they get in the working world. College students think they're really busy, but then you get in the working world and you're like, wow, I have a lot more free time then. So I think that learning that now will make you a better real world person and definitely a parent and a leader in the society.
Okay. Well, thank you for this interview.
You're welcome.